That from personal experience. One of my brothers was very alcohol dependent throughout most of his life, and I learned I couldn't help him. My other brother and I would try, and it didn't work. The only people who can help them are other alcoholics. They understand the problems that they face in a way that you, if you're not alcoholic, cannot. This is a friendly society, but it's for alcoholics. Any night of the week in most cities, there's a meeting you can go to. You have a crisis or a problem, you can go talk to people who understand you. Not like your family. Your family doesn't understand you. But these people do. They know the craving and the desire to sedate yourself and escape from your problems. There's a phone number you can call, and someone will talk to you. You have a crisis. You say, oh, I'm going to do this. The person says, well, tell me about your family. So you're married, you have a husband or wife, kids. Tell me about that. And help you get out of that problem. They're all over. It's a very important institution. It's a friendly society, and it does work quite effectively. So I think there's a better way. We do need to abandon pay-as-you-go policies. These are unsustainable and unfair. Allow people to save for their own retirement, but it means making real decisions like the Canadians are trying to do. So be Canadian, if you will. What do we have to pay for and what can we not afford? And it is a problem. An 84-year-old who paid all her life into the system and is dependent on it cannot be chucked out into the street. How are we going to finance that? One thing to do is to say, what do we not need? Do we need subsidies for farmers and all these other programs? Maybe not. But allow people your age to get out of that system. So you don't have to get sucked into it and pay 3 times your grandparents' retirement, your parents' retirement, and maybe your retirement, if there's anything left. Allow you to escape and accumulate wealth for your own future. Wean this system, get rid of it over time, but do meet the obligations to those people who have become dependent on it. And that means really adult conversations about what we can afford and what not. I'll conclude with that. Hopefully I've maybe pushed a few buttons. You might have some interest in this. This little book, I brought together writers from Greece and Italy and Britain and the United States in this volume. You get copies from our friends here. It's also available online. So you can download the whole book for free, but it doesn't have a gorgeous green color. Less convenient to carry around. So thank you so much for your attention.
I do think we have quite some room for questions. I can imagine that there are. At least I have some. So are there any questions so far?
Questions, challenges, disagreements, that's okay. Yes, sir.
Well, at the end, you seem to be saying that we have some kind of obligations towards needy people. But I was wondering how you can combine that with the theory of rights you were explaining, the choice theory of rights, because that seems to me that it's very difficult to say that we have some kind of moral obligations towards other beings.
Well,
so yeah, how can you combine these two?
Well, there's 2 elements to this. One is to ask whether there are moral catastrophes that we face. Nozick, for instance, in his book, does say, well, this should be the normal way we understand rights, unless there's a moral catastrophe facing you. And I think this is the problem we face right now. This is a very serious issue. As a transitional matter, I think we have to get out of an unsustainable pyramid scheme. It just can't go on. And if we continue to victimize people your age, it'll just get worse every year, because there's this birth dearth, a declining replacement rate. Japan is the worst example of this, but Europe also has a negative growth rate, if you want to put it that way. What we need to do is transition out of that to something that's actually sustainable over the long term, without having a moral catastrophe of people simply going hungry. So because they were promised all their lives, you're going to be taken care of. Mathematically, we need to think about, from an actuarial or mathematical perspective, at what point are people getting a really terrible deal? Looking at the audience, I think everyone here is getting a terrible deal. Someone my age or slightly older may be a net beneficiary. I would still like to get out of this system because I think it's an injustice, quite frankly. It's just an injustice. But we should be able to figure out and say, people of this age, you're not going to get anything. There's nothing to be gotten. You have to save for your own retirement. And it's not that hard to do. Put aside so many euros a week and just don't think about it. Invest it in a diversified portfolio, stocks and bonds. Don't buy lottery tickets. Put it into that. And it'll build up over time. It's compound interest. Can do great things. But 83-year-old old lady living across the street, she needs to continue to receive that from current state expenditures, which means, in the United States context, for example, maybe we should stop invading so many other countries. You could save trillions of dollars just right there. Just decide we won't invade another country like Iran. There are potentially trillions of dollars, so we should begin to think about the United States military budget as one source of cuts on needless expenditures that do not generate more security. That's only one place. Something else here? Yes, yes, sir.
You talked about how we have to help each other out in communities, stuff like that, instead of the welfare state. Isn't there a problem? Like it used to be possible in smaller communities where people are more interlocked, but as we've grown more individualistic, isn't that like increasingly hard now to care for other people, or to still engage in those activities in community and help out the other people that maybe be not as visible anymore?
They're not known to you, right? I understand your point. That's a very, very good point. A number of historical studies looked at this very question. And if you look at the 19th century, people have a view of the 19th century, people lived in little villages. That's not true. It's enormous social mobility all around the world. Huge, biggest since, roughly 2,000 years before. And it was during this period that there was the greatest growth of these kinds of organizations. And the reason is they benefit people when they're mobile. For example, if you're a member of a lodge in Birmingham and you move to Manchester or Liverpool, you carry your lodge membership with you, which means you're now known as a trusted person. So in highly mobile societies, these actually generated positive benefits because they allowed you to carry an identity with you that says, I'm a member of the Masons or the Odd Fellows, and it carries reputation with it. People will now say, you're a member of our lodge, and take care of you. Prior to that, if you moved from one village to another,